right? So let's proceed. Okay, fine. So what are the things we are supposed to be seeing today? The portions allotted, okay, the portions which were left out were supposed to be derivatives of mesoderm and derivatives of endoderm, right? So for that, we were going through some introductory sessions, which I also put up for you through those PDFs for the first week and second week, etc. I think you have all received it, right? And you have gone through it. Can someone of you answer saying whether you have received it the first week and second week? Any of you? Just unmute yourself and tell me. Yes? Or should I ask Kavya? Hello?
Yes, doctor. Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
doctor.
yeah. So the first weeks and second weeks were sent to you. So now, see, the basic thing is to understand how this ectoderm, endoderm are coming. You'll have to always go back to the introductory part. You have to always see how they are coming. And then it becomes easy to correlate, and then it becomes easy to go along with discussing the derivatives. So we are
Yes, doctor.
yeah. So we have actually seen first week and second week, and now I'll start off with third week and we'll proceed accordingly. Okay. So what you see in the slide is like I was, yeah, or you can mute your mics. Yeah. Okay. Fine. So what we are seeing in the slide is, okay, it's the third week of development. The word three for three. That's how I did it for when I was just interacting with you briefly that day. That is two for two. And that is what we presented also in that PDF, where bilaminar meant two and there were a lot of twos. So similarly, let's see something here with the three. Okay. Now, when I go to the next one, you see here, okay. So when I say third week of development, okay, what is needed to be understood is third week, there are some changes to the embryonic disc. And from the third week itself, a sort of continuous development occurs up to 8 week. And this is what we are going to discuss in today's session. Okay. So third week of development and continuing on to up to the 8th week of development. So we'll be proceeding accordingly. Right. So yeah, these things are okay. This is understood. Right. And the materials sourced are also understood. So let's just go along. Okay. First things first. For the third week, everything is free. And the most important thing I keep repeating always is in embryology, you will have to keep track of the time that is passing from the date of fertilization through the implantation and the various steps. At the same time, all of you, please note this. When we discuss a certain development, don't think that it is occurring in isolation. The development of one particular structure, the development of one particular region also has a parallel simultaneous development of surrounding regions. This is the most important thing you must keep in mind by learning embryology. Nothing that we discuss is a single event. All events are related, occurring simultaneously. So this keeping track of many things is what makes embryology learning a little challenging. So once you get the hang of it, once you learn to isolate key words and key events, then the correlation becomes easier, right? So let's keep proceeding. Okay, what are the learning objectives? Our learning objective for today's class is supposed to be derivatives of mesoderm and derivatives of endoderm. What I'm doing is I'm simply adding the previous things taken by Madam just to give a context and make things easier for the subsequent followers. Right. Remember this word. This is the most significant event in embryology. Of course, after fertilization, after implantation, this particular word, what do you see here? It is called gastrulation. Okay. Now, the process of formation of three germ layers. Simple. That is the simplest explanation. There are many explanations found in the textbook. Okay, you can all read up and better, define yourself better. But to just simply understand what is happening is gastrulation. That is formation of three germ layers. What are the three germ layers? Of course, one is ectoderm, one is mesoderm, one is endoderm. So in the third week, three things are going to take new form. That is the formation of germ layer. And already I think I have added the word germ means germinal. That is something capable of giving rise to, giving birth to, creating. So we are left with three germ layers, right? That is one is ectoderm, one is mesoderm, one is endoderm. But the question that will come to all of us is when we talk about gastrulation, what exactly is this? Okay, so to understand this, again three events. To understand what is gastrulation, the most important word here is primitive streak. That is appearance of something known as a primitive streak. All these have been covered by Madam. I am simply emphasizing for today's class how we are having a continuity, right? So the first and important event for gastrulation to occur will be the appearance of primitive streak in the epiblast. Next is this word, invagination of epiblasts. So by invagination, within brackets, you can add one more word that will be called as a migration of the epiblasts. To where these invaginating epiblasts are going to form all the three germ layers, namely ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm. Now, please understand, I'm presenting the SLOs to you now, okay, and I'll be presenting the pictures following this. But your work will be, I'll be calling out anybody so that you have to correlate the picture that is seen on the slide with the particular SLOs. You already have the SLOs with you in the your WhatsApp group. You can see that and correlate from here. But I don't know if you are using a mobile whether you'll be able to do both simultaneously. For those of you using a laptop, we'll be able to do that. But let's come down to that later. Right. So let's proceed. Gastrulation, summary of three things. What are the three? Appearance of a primitive streak, invagination of epiblasts, and the invaginating epiblasts forming all the three germ layers. Kindly note here, these are all MCQs and short notes also. Gastrulation is a separate question, primitive streak is a separate question, right? And the epiblast itself forming all the uh, somebody is yeah. Please don't change the slides. Yeah, I'll do that. Right. So now we are in the fine. After this slide, so we go to the next one. Right. Again, to do with three. There are three primitive terms, meaning what is the primitive street, what is the primitive node, and what is the primitive pit. The reason for calling the parts of the primitive street by the three separate things, namely the primitive node at the catalytic end with a pit in it, called the blastophore or the primitive pit, and the primitive street. The reason for this is the primitive street is the first precursor of body axis. Okay, the orientation, the derivation of the body axis, right? The cephalocaudal direction, the right left axis, plus starting of gastrulation for the formation of the so-called mesoderm, everything is related to primitive streak. Plus, the primitive streak also gives origin to something called, let's see the next one, you'll see this. There are three significant events at the same time. One is the so-called procaudal plate. Some books call it precaudal, some books call it procaudal. The procaudal word is better to be used, right? So the procaudal plate at the cranial end, and you can see it is written here in the, I mean, the future buccopharyngeal membrane, the oral cavity, the stomodium, all these are related to this area. Second is one more very important structure called the notochord, right? Notochord in itself is a short note and has been handled by madam. So notochord per se has got its importance because it is going to induce the overlying ectoderm to form the neural tube and neurulation for the development of central nervous system, the brain and the spinal cord. As such, notochord is also going to be responsible for orientation of the dorsal axis, that is midline axis of the body, around which the vertebral column is going to be developed. Notochord per se is not forming, it will only remain as nucleus pulposus of the intervertebral disc. But these words must be kept in mind that these are events occurring simultaneously and these are responsible for influencing the next stage of development. And the last but not the least is the cloacal membrane at the caudal end. And the cloacal membrane has got its own significance because at the same time we are having the allantois arising as a diverticulum from the yolk sac. It is understood that the words that are used now are already been handled in the previous classes and you have had sufficient time to understand the meaning of these words. So I'll not spend much time on this and we'll proceed. What are the three other significant events? This is what I meant. Now, please note procaudal plate, primitive streak, notochord. These three events, which we saw from the previous slides, are responsible for three other significant events. What are they? Establishment of the body axis, the fate map of gastrulation. What do you mean by this word, fate map of gastrulation? Meaning, gastrulation is invagination of epiblasts to form three germ layers, right? But which part of the epiblast is traveling or migrating to which region of the embryonic disc and what is it going to form finally? That is what we mean by the fate map of gastrulation. And we'll slowly, fill up these gaps. Right. And last but not the least, when so many changes are occurring, the embryonic disc also has to change its shape, has to grow. The basic idea being, we are talking in terms of few days, we are talking in terms of a week, we are talking in terms of 5 weeks. So every day, cells are getting added, the tissues are going to start differentiating, the organs are going to start forming, and within one circular disc, it is not going to be possible. So changes of the disc also have to take place, right? So for body axis, it is not really important at your level. If you are interested, you can go read up, and there are a lot of genes associated. But three terms here, which you can keep in mind, is the so-called anteroposterior. And you see the next one is dorsoventral. So naturally the doubt will come from you. Doctor, you are saying the same thing. Anterior means ventral, dorso means posterior. So why you are saying two things? Actually, the so-called anteroposterior is supposed to represent the craniocaudal sequence, and then because of changes in the embryo, because of its growth and development, because of the changing shape, and I'll be introducing a word called folding of the embryos, etc. That time, it is better to remember this as a anteroposterior sequence, and the next is establishment of a dorsoventral axis. And the last but not the least, right and left side. Because if this gets inverted, it becomes a sighted inversion. So these are all dependent on the genes regulating the body map, right? So this is not really required for you, but just you can keep this word body axis in mind as one of the significant events occurring during this period. Next, if you see, what is the fate of gastrulation? This is important. You see the epiblast cells which are migrating through the cranial region of the primitive node. Primitive node itself is the cranial most part of the primitive tree. So what you get is the formation of notochord. So if I were to ask one of you, and which I'll be doing subsequently, so keep this also in mind, from where to where does the notochord extend? What is the notochord? So I'll give you the answer also. The notochord is nothing but the invaginating epiblast cells, which are going to be extending from the cranial part of the cranial end of the primitive tree up to the precaudal plate, up to the precaudal plate, right? So, and what is the next one? The cells migrating through the cranial end of the cells migrating through cranial end of tree, and they go progressively caudal. So first will be the lateral part of the primitive node, then will be the cranial part of the tree, then the lateral walls of the tree, and as you come caudally, today's class is coming into view. That is intraembryonic mesoderm. Okay, and there are three components. When I come down to that, we'll go into that. So, intraembryonic mesoderm. How is it formed? The cells migrating through the radial end of tree and progressively caudal. The migration occurring progressively caudal. So we have the three components of the intraembryonic mesoderm. And last but not the least, cells migrating through the caudalmost part of the tree with its contribution to extraembryonic mesoderm. Okay, that is along with the primitive yolk sac. You know why this is important? That so-called extraembryonic mesoderm with the primitive yolk sac, etc. When you will be learning about the placenta, when you will be learning about the connecting stalk and the umbilical cord, that time these words will come into play. Okay, fine. So let's proceed, and I'll again summarize to you. Right. What are the changes in the primitive state? Right. Yes. Okay. What are the changes in the primitive state progressive regression? What happens basically? The changes in the primitive state, these are also significant events here. You will be having a craniocaudal regression of the primitive state, and this has to disappear by day 24. Okay. And what is happening here is the expansion of cephalic region. This is what I was telling you, the growth of the embryonic disc. Okay. What are the changes that you are seeing in the growth of the embryonic disc? Changes in primitive state with progressive regression in a craniocaudal direction. Expansion of the cephalic region, a change of disc. Okay, that is shape from circular to oval to pear shape. This is actually starting from second week and continuing. And you note the last one, that is folding of the disc, which is head, tail, and lateral folding. All these points are going to help you understand the future orientation of the organs that are formed, right? So as you see, as we proceed, as you see some pictures, you'll be able to understand as to the labeling of those pictures with respect to these terms. So we will come to that. Okay. So this is what we meant by the growth of the embryonic disc, right? Let's go to the next one. Simultaneous events. This will be handled by Madam tomorrow when Madam is going to talk to you about placenta and the fetal membranes, etc. Okay. So this is what Madam will be teaching tomorrow. But why did I put it up here? What did I say in the very first preamble? That is, please understand whatever I'm discussing is not happening in isolation. Okay, simultaneously, certain other things are also developing. So, this you must keep in mind that whatever changes are happening in the trophoblast also are happening simultaneously for formation of membranes. Okay, so as of now, please get it into your mind that the blastocyst, after it implanted, I got two types of cells from it, two population of cells. One was the inner cell mass, one was the outer cell mass. Again, we are going back to the basics. The inner cell mass was the embryonic cells. The outer cell mass was the trophoblastic cells. So you can see here, outer cell mass, trophoblastic cells, they are going to be responsible for the formation of the placenta and the fetal membranes. The inner cell mass is what is forming the embryonic disc, and we are going through that process. We formed a bilaminar germ disc. Now we have seen that we have formed a trilaminar germ disc, and simultaneously formation of trilaminar germ disc is associated with further progression towards organogenesis, with further progression in the growth of the embryonic disc, with changes in its shape. The changes in the shape include both a surface change from circular to oval to pear shape, and the other type of shape being the folding of the embryo, right, to form the future fetus. Now, when I put this slide, that it is from the third to eighth week of development, I again want to stress when I talk about third week alone, I'm talking about trilaminar germ disc and gastrulation. And when I talk in a continuity from third week to eighth week, what am I talking about? Please note this word, embryonic period. The actual embryonic period starts from third to eighth week of development. Okay, the third to eighth week of development is called embryonic period. Never forget this. This is usually asked as an MCQ, which is the embryonic period. Why are we again talking about this? You see the word organogenesis. All these words are related to this third to eighth week of development. Okay. Now, please note, when I say organogenesis, it is not blindly organogenesis. Cells form tissues, tissues form organs. So, even the tissue genesis, formation of tissues, and only the collection of different types of tissues are going to form organs, right? What are the types of tissues that you are aware of? There are epithelial tissues, there are muscular tissues, there are connective tissues, there are nervous tissues. Am I clear with what I'm talking? Right? So when you talk about tissues, when you talk about organogenesis, you must not forget that it includes tissue genesis also. Next, now you understand the moment you see this word, teratogens, susceptible to teratogens. The third to eighth week of development is the most crucial period in the development of a developing fetus, because this is the period where maximum cell division is taking place. This is the period where maximum tissue differentiation is taking place, tissue generation is taking place, tissue differentiation is taking place, organ generation is taking place, organ differentiation is taking place. If at all any disturbance occurs in this period, what you are left with is what you will be left with is something called teratogenesis, which means you end up with birth defects, what are called congenital malformations, plus that was about embryonic death, and last but not the least, the placenta and related anomalies, right? So, with this brief introduction, let us proceed to what we are supposed to be seeing. Okay, I want all of you to be very clear. Second week was bilaminar, many events occurred in twos. Third week is trilaminar, events have occurred in threes. From the third to eighth week, organogenesis is taking place. It is the most important period, susceptible to any outside influence, disturbing it to form congenital, to cause congenital malformation. And last but not the least, this period is what is known as the actual embryonic period. Okay. Now, let's briefly, discuss this gastrulation. You can see here, you can see those red color cells dropping between the blue and the yellow cells, right? You have seen this plenty of times. Okay. This is what we mean by invagination of epiblasts. Kindly note that the epiblasts are columnar. Here they are represented by the blue color. Kindly see here that the hypoblasts are represented by flatter cells and are in yellow color, right? Fine. Take a look at those blue cells moving inwards. Take a look at the blue cells moving inwards to become brownish. Those are the ones which are going to form our mesoderm, right? And as we said in those slides of the SLOs, what is the first? Okay, there's a problem with the file network. Yeah, I'm sorry, there was a problem with the network. So let's proceed. Yeah. So this is how the disk looks. Okay. I would request all of you when you get time to just go through these pictures again and try drawing them. Okay. If someone of you are unable to connect, it's okay, no problem. Hang on and come back. There is no issues. This is going to be there. The material is going to be with you, right? Internet is definitely an issue, so there won't be problems. Even I'm getting hung up with the internet, so let's keep proceeding, okay? So that we get some time to catch up again, right? Fine. You can see this here. The moment pictures come, the net is getting disturbed, right? So this is a sagittal section. The previous one was a coronal section, right? Let's proceed. What do you see here again? The blue color, epiblast, okay, the yellow color, hypoblast, and in between we are getting something brownish, right? The slides are taking time. Anyway, not an issue. What to do? It's about the net with a lot of photos. Let's see that. Yeah. So any of you out there can just tell me, okay, what, where are we right now? What have you understood? Just any one of you, briefly. Just 2-3 lines. Yes. Yeah, the picture is coming now. Yes. Okay. So again, done. Can connect now. I can see somebody saying done. Can connect now. I know it is happening. The connection issues. No issues. Okay. Again, let me tell you the keywords which you are supposed to be running in your head and also looking at. What do you see here? What we are talking about is the caudal plate, and you can see here embryonic disc after establishment of the central axis. So from this picture, you can make out that the procaudal plate is got a role in establishment of the axis of a central axis. Let's go with the next picture. Okay. Once the procaudal plate with the central axis is present, now you can see this picture which is opening up. In the caudal part of the, all of you must understand cranial refers to head, caudal refers to tail. So in the caudal part of the pyramid, of the embryonic disc, you can again see the epiblast becoming a little hyper, forming the primitive streak. Now this picture gives you a very wonderful correlation of what is happening in the hypoblast and what is happening in the epiblast. So you can see from here very clearly. In the hypoblast, what we are getting is elongation of those flat cells which became cuboidal when they lined the yolk sac, but now they have become columnar. That is called the procaudal plate. Whereas the so-called primitive streak, okay, in the epiblast, you can see the columnar cells are becoming more heterogeneous and they are forming rounded cells called in the region of something called as the primitive streak. So right now, both the layers are acting, okay, fine. This is happening in the second week because this is a bilaminar germ disc. Okay. And by the time the bilaminar germ disc is entering, is finishing its second week and we are nearing to the third week. That is 14th day, second week gets over. 15th day, third week has to start. What do we get? We are getting the starting of the primitive streak and we are entering the third week. And the moment the primitive streak has formed and the third week is entered, what we are going to see are the changes in the primitive streak, which will be responsible for the invagination of epiblast cells. And the process of invagination of epiblast cells is called gastrulation. And these invaginating epiblast cells are going to be responsible for the formation of the three germ layers, namely ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm. And for our class today, mesodermal and endodermal derivatives alone we are going to talk. But we cannot talk these things in isolation. We have to always go back to what happened before. And then only we can talk about what is going to happen later. Right? So this picture shows something is happening in the primitive streak with the formation of the end at the primitive knot. Now, do you recall that particular slide of the SLO where I have put three primitive things? What are the three primitive things? The primitive streak, at its cranial end, it is called the primitive knot or the primitive node, and into that you can see a small hole appearing. It is called here primitive pit, right? What is the blastopore is otherwise known as primitive pit. So the three primitives are addressed here. What are the three primitives basically? The primitive streak, its cranial end, the primitive knot, and the hole in that appearing there, the primitive pit, right? And two simultaneous events. One was the procaudal plate, one was the primitive plate. Hang on. Let's see what is happening next. See this fellow now. See both the pictures. Okay. In the first, on your left half, from the cranial end of the primitive plate. Okay, I mean from the cranial end of the primitive streak, right? What is known as the primitive node or the primitive knot. In some books, it is given as Henson's node. No issues. You can see one yellow color line extending up to a blue color circle near the cranial end. And you can see very clearly it is labeled as the notochordal process. Notochordal process, right? And then the process canalizes, it is called notochordal canal. And in subsequent picture, you can see here, okay, initially it was a canal, initially it was a process, then it became a canal, then it opened up, then it formed a plate, again it closed, again it became a rod. So one A, B, C, D, E, F, you can see six processes here. Okay, this class is not about notochord, but this class is about informing you to always keep in mind these three things again and again. When you talk about embryonic death, when you talk about the early development during the second week and the third week, and from the third week to the eighth week, the embryonic period, kindly remember these three words. These are the three key words. What are the three key words again and again? The procaudal plate, the primitive streak, the notochordal process. Okay. And okay, we can add one more word behind called the cloacal membrane. Okay. The procaudal plate and cloacal membrane are two areas where there won't be any invagination, right, of cells. So what happens in these two areas? The ectoderm and endoderm are fused. There is no intervening mesoderm, right? So again, primitive streak, procaudal plate, primitive streak, notochordal process. And once these three are in place, what we are getting is the gastrulation. And what was this gastrulation all about? The gastrulation is all about invagination of cells along the primitive streak, migration of these invaginating cells towards the cranial end of the embryo. Invaginating cells are not invaginating into the procaudal plate. They are not invaginating into the cloacal membrane. So this is the brief process of what is happening for the formation of the mesoderm. Okay. Now these pictures that are put up here are showing the same thing which I discussed now. Again, you can see from the primitive streak, cells are migrating, more of it towards the cranial region, less of it towards the caudal region, and you can see that the cells are reaching all across the embryonic disc, both cranial, caudal, lateral, except in two regions, namely the procaudal plate and the cloacal membrane. And already the word intraembryonic mesoderm is appearing in this picture, right? Let us see here. That was a surface view. Now let's take a look at the sagittal view. In this picture, the following words that you can make out. You can see ectoderm just below the amniotic cavity. You can see endoderm, where please note there is a mistake in the labeling. Are all of you with me? The yolk sac, yellow colored lining, it is not ectoderm. It is a mistake in the labeling by the author. It is endoderm. Are we clear? Any one of you can tell me yes on this point because there's a mistake in the picture of the author. Any one of you? Are you with me? Yes? Yeah. So I think the mistake has been pointed out. Please note those violet color cells, purple on top, that is ectoderm. That is lining, that is just on the floor of the amniotic cavity. Spend a few moments with this picture to get oriented, right? You come down, you see yellow color cells surrounding the yolk sac, and I just corrected the labeling there. It is not ectoderm, it is endoderm. Fine. And between the ectoderm and endoderm, in between, we see some greenish cells. Here you can see the word intraembryonic mesoderm. Intraembryonic mesoderm. Okay, right? So, and please note, whatever we spoke about, this was to do with the embryonic disc. You see the outer big circle. You can see the outermost yellow lining. Don't worry, that is nothing but the trophoblast cells. Okay. Inside that outer yellow lining, you can see purplish material, and you can see it is labeled as extra embryonic mesoderm. Correct? It is extra embryonic mesoderm that has developed extra embryonically, that has not got to do with the embryo, that has got to do with the trophoblast. Fine. Then you can see in the extra embryonic mesoderm, those were things which we discussed, I mean, which I put out as slides for you during the second week, that there will be an appearance of an extra embryonic coelom. You can see that very well here. You can see that the entire embryo is surrounded by a reverse C-shaped white color space called the extra embryonic coelom, right? So please keep these pictures in mind, oriented, and you can try drawing them out in the same sequence. And within no time, you will find that, oh, it was so easy. It is not a rocket science. Yes, actually, it takes a little practice and a little perseverance. The problem with embryology being there are too many terms, but if you go about it gently in a sequence, you will find that it is enjoyable. You will find that it is easy to recollect. You will find that it is easy to understand. So you take it stepwise. This our class of for you is a facilitation for putting up lot of keywords and a sequence. Okay, so let's proceed now with the next picture. Okay, so this is how you need to form a table at times. My very first slide of the disclaimer was, please keep a track of the number of days. Okay, because you see, these are the tables which they ask you in MCQs. So this slide is important for you to answer MCQs. Why are we testing you on this? Just to show, I mean, just to see whether you are able to keep track of time in embryology for the events. Okay. You see, 16th day. 16th day means after 14 days, which means after the second week is over, which means third week. So can you see the word intra-embryonic mesoderm, right? So that is how, when you put it across, either as a picture or as a table, when you put the days, you start seeing that yes, there is a correlation between what is happening and what is being taught, and I am also able to understand what I am reading. Okay, so that is the way it goes. Now let's proceed. We come to today's session, as in so-called derivatives of mesoderm. Okay, so-called derivatives of mesoderm. Right. Let's proceed with derivatives of the mesoderm. Okay, mesodermal germ layer divisions. So that is the first thing which you must get into your head. The moment we talk about mesoderm derivatives, okay, first thing I want you to get into your head is we are talking about intraembryonic mesoderm. The next thing will come to the mind. Somebody can ask you, why are you saying intraembryonic mesoderm? The answer is, of course, it has developed in the embryonic disc.
Then the question comes, what do you mean embryonic disc? How did it develop? The answer is, it has developed by the invagination of epiblast cells. Then they will ask you, come on, what is this invagination? What is this epiblast? You go back and say epiblast and hypoblast are two layers formed from inner cell mass of the embryoblast cells. Say, okay, fine, done. Epi is on top, hypo is below. Agreed. Epiblast cells are invaginating to form mesoderm according to you. Very good, fine. But how are they invaginating? You will say that actually a procaudal plate forms, and the procaudal plate decides which is the head end of the embryo. Say, okay, what has that got to do with this? You will say, once the procaudal plate has formed, the caudal region of the embryonic disc starts undergoing a change to form a primitive streak. Okay, so you say the primitive streak is formed in the epiblast cells. Oh, in the epiblast layer. Yes. So the primitive streak is like a tunnel. Into that streak, these epiblast cells start moving. Say, okay, now too many cells. From where are the cells coming? Of course, the epiblast is dividing. It is producing more cells. There is no place for it to stay there. So it has to find a tunnel to escape. Say, okay. Now, what does it do? It is entering into the tunnel. Where is it going? It is starting to move towards the procaudal plate. Okay, fine. So what is happening? It is creating these invaginating cells, these tunneling cells are creating a gap between the epiblast and the hypoblast. They are separating the two. Say, okay. And then these cells which have entered and separated the epiblast from hypoblast will be now known as the future mesoderm, intraembryonic. Say, okay. Into this, again, those same epiblast cells are forming the notocaudal process. Why? Because they have to, they have to form a dorsal axis. Okay. What is the importance of notochord? It is going to influence the outer lying ectoderm to form neural tube. Okay, fine. Now, what are these invaginating cells doing? They are replacing all the three layers to form ectoderm upwards, mesoderm in between, and endoderm below. This is what you must get into as a complete flow, as a sequence. Please remember again and again, all the three layers, ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm, are derived from the invaginating epiblast cells. And if you want to read up more, you will find that these are pluripotent cells which are more present in the caudal part of the embryo. This is for further reading. But by and large, for your purpose, it is enough if you are able to say that invaginating epiblast cells replace all the other cells to form the future three germ layers, namely ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm, right? So now we will start talking about our own mesoderm. Okay, you see here what is happening. What is happening, right? What all I was talking is represented in this picture. You can see the arrows all traveling towards the head end in circular fashion. Rounded blue color disc called the procaudal plate. You can see a small black color process in the central midline called the notocaudal process. Again, note the extent of the notocaudal process from the cranial end of primitive streak, which is represented as green here. The blastopore or the pit, primitive pit in the center of the primitive node, right? From there you get the notochord and you can see all the cells represented as arrows migrating. And quite caudally, you see the cloacal membrane. This was a surface view, and you see a cut section. on the right hand side of the picture. In the center, you have the notochord. By the sides, you have two plates called intraembryonic mesoderm. Above and below, you have lining cells. Above those cells are ectodermal side. You can see they are columnar. Below the cells are endodermal side. You can see them. They are as cuboidal. Right. Now, this is one more way of presenting. See, you have a choice of different kinds of pictures to understand the process of what is happening. It is for you to pick up pictures from here, which is easy for you to understand. It is not necessary that you'll have to reproduce the same pictures as in the books. It is not necessary that what is put here are the only things which you are supposed to reproduce. These are meant to facilitate you to understand, and you can represent them in your own manner, right? So these are some of the easiest pictures available which will help you in understanding. Again, you please see this picture. You can see an 8, like an 8 it is, like a doll, okay? Above you have an amniotic cavity, below you have a yolk sac cavity. Amniotic cavity, the floor you see blue color ectoderm. The yolk sac cavity completely you see yellow color lined by endoderm. In between, can you see the mesoderm, brownish? That part is the intraembryonic mesoderm, right? Let's proceed. Now, what I said was intraembryonic mesoderm is formed, very good. But you saw the second subdivision there, the divisions of the intraembryonic mesoderm. Okay, what are the 3 divisions of the intraembryonic mesoderm? In this picture, it is very nicely seen that in the center of the picture, there is a black color dot. That is the notochord. Just by the side of the notochord, you can see a camel-like hump. You can see a hump of brown color. You see, it is labeled. It is called as paraaxial mesoderm. Paraxial mesoderm, right? You see why we are calling it paraxial? Because just some time back we were just elaborating. We were discussing that notochord, these things in the midline, they are responsible for forming the axis. The so-called notochord is responsible for forming the dorsal axis. Axis means a central plane, a line around which symmetries can occur, right? So you can see just by the side of the notochord, what do you see? Paraxial mesoderm. Fine. Come to the most extreme. Come to the most extreme, where you see some seed-like white spaces appearing, and it is very nicely labeled lateral plate. Okay, and in those seed-like spaces are labeled as intercellular cavities. Relax. Don't talk about the cavities now. Just see the lateralmost part. What you see is lateral plate. Fine. Now, if I'm having one in the medial and one lateral, between the two, there is a narrow area that is called intermediate mesoderm. So, summary of this picture is there are 3 subdivisions of intraembryonic mesoderm. The 3 subdivisions are as follows. Paraxial mesoderm, which is just lateral to the notochord. It is related to the dorsal axis. That is, it is related to the midline. That is why it's called paraxial. Right. Next one. Totally away from the midline. It's completely outside. It's completely towards the outer aspect. It is lateral plate mesoderm. Fine. Between the two, intermediate mesoderm. So 3 divisions of intraembryonic mesoderm. 3 divisions of intraembryonic mesoderm. Sometimes this is asked as a short answer question, as in derivatives of intraembryonic mesoderm. You will have to answer in this manner only, about 3 divisions first, and then we'll see what are the derivatives. Okay, so let's proceed with the next one, right? So this is one more way of seeing. Okay, and I just want you to keep an eye on this picture, because we'll be talking again about this picture in a little while. Okay,
So what do you see in this picture is, you see above the black color dot. You see when, let me give you a small suggestion here. When you look at a picture, okay, don't look at the complete picture in one go. It is very confusing. Okay. So you take one keyword which is discussed in the class, use that keyword, look for that particular area of that structure, and then start going around it. So we are taking the help of notochord in the previous picture. Let's do the same thing here. Please look here, the central black color dot, it is not labeled as notochord in these pictures, but it is very nice to orient ourselves to this picture with the help of the dot. Just see above that black color dot. What you see is which we all know by now. So many times we have just repeated this like a broken record player, that ectoderm, ectoderm, ectoderm. Now you see it has formed a groove, neural groove. And in the next picture, the neural groove has come out and it has formed a neural tube. So neurulation has occurred in the ectoderm simultaneously. Very good. You see below the black dot, what you see is the yellow color and endoderm, that is the lining of yolk sac. Fantastic. What you see now is the brown colors that we were talking about. You see the hump, that is paraxial mesoderm. You take a look at the lateral plate mesoderm now. Okay. And you see the embryo is starting to fold. In the right half of the picture, you can see that the embryo is starting to fold. Okay. And you are getting some cavities inside. What is now known as the intraembryonic cavity. The intraembryonic cavity. Okay. So what you are able to see here is in the lateral plate mesoderm, because of the folding, plus in the previous picture you saw some cavities occurring here in the lateral plate mesoderm. Let the picture come back again. Right? You're able to see some intercellular cavities occurring in the lateral plate mesoderm. Okay, so everything put together, we are starting to have some form of intraembryonic body cavity being formed. Okay, so we are progressing with the help of some pictures. Let's see now next what is happening. Okay, those are only the labelings which you can read up, becomes easy. Now let's come down to this. Let's come down to this kind of a picture. Okay, fine. Again, okay, in this picture, too many things, relax. Look at the midline, midpoint in both the pictures. On your left side, there is a black color line, okay, which is representing the notochord, an interrupted black line in the center. And on the right side of the picture, you are seeing a notochord in the center. Fantastic. Correlate both. On the left side, I'm seeing a plate of yellow color. But when I come to the right picture, I'm seeing it as a tube, very well labeled here as the neural tube. Fantastic. Done. Next, you, to prevent yourself from getting confused, always keep in mind in these sections, please identify the ectoderm side first and the endoderm side first. Because once you know this, you know what you're dealing with. Okay, coming back. Now, just by the sides of, again, we are seeing something brown in both the pictures. One is a surface view and one is a cut section. Those brown ones very nicely labeled here as paraxial mesoderm. Fantastic. Then next to it, that small purple color, intermediate mesoderm. Done. And finally, on either extremes, the lateral plate mesoderm. Fantastic. Let's go on. What is going to happen to the paraxial mesoderm? Yes. What is going to happen to the paraxial mesoderm is very simple. In one word, if I have to tell you what is going to happen to the paraxial mesoderm, it is going to form the musculoskeletal system. Simple and over. Okay. That is the first thing it does. Okay. Fine. That is the fate of the paraxial mesoderm. Right. There are so many things which will happen which are not really necessary for you. Okay. But some words are very, very necessary for you. Meaning, the table which is put up here, you can see a word somite. Okay, somites are sometimes asked as short notes. Okay, what are somites? Somites are derived from paraxial mesoderm by their condensation. What are somites going to form? You can see here what they are going to form. You can see the skeletal elements, you can see the muscular elements. So basically, each area, this table very nicely shows you that each area has got some number of somites, and those somites are going to be responsible for the formation of the musculoskeletal structures and their derivatives. Okay. Now, in addition, some textbooks they add one more word called somatomeres. Okay, I deliberately not added it here because it may end up confusing you and it is not really required. So what they say is the somatomeres are for the cranial end and are to do with the formation of skull and the musculoskeletal system of the head and neck and face. Okay, whereas somites are for the rest of the body. So I don't want to confuse you, end up confusing you, and I don't want you to know also that much. It's not really necessary. So for your purpose, what is to be understood is in one simple sentence, paraxial mesoderm are responsible for formation of somites. Somites are responsible for formation of musculoskeletal system. That's it. That is the simplest way of looking at it, right? And these tables are going to be with you for you to keep revising. And within no time, when you are learning each individual area, you will be able to correlate that yes, muscles come from paraxial mesoderm. Okay, this bone comes from paraxial mesoderm, whatever bone it is, right? So that is the way we are going about, right? Next, let's proceed. One importance is, okay, the embryologists, the fetologists, the people studying all these, the age of the embryo, this table may not be asked, okay, but sometimes, these comes in MCQ. As per the number of somites, the age also can be determined because you see these somites are structures that can be visible on an ultrasound, okay, as blocks on the dorsal aspect of the embryo. So counting number of somites will help in giving an approximate age of the embryo. That is why this table is put up, and you can go. You can just see through this. But at your level, not really that important. This is just to emphasize that yes, the age of the embryo can be calculated with the number of somites present. And basically, we are interested in about 44 somites. That number you please keep in mind. There will be around 44 somites. Okay. And then finally, as the growth and development proceeds, many of them will fuse, many of them will regress, they will disappear, and the future, the vertebral column, the number of vertebrae, etc., will be becoming an adult number. Okay, that is not a part of this class, the development of musculoskeletal system. Rather, what we are doing is derivatives of paraxial mesoderm right now. Derivatives of mesoderm, in that the subdivision, derivative of paraxial mesoderm. Now let's proceed. Okay, okay. Now let this picture load. Yeah, okay, fine. This picture, what is happening is, okay, you are totally seeing one more new term called sclerotome. Okay, don't worry about it. Just keep that word in mind. Okay, I'll come back to it. Just note its position. Its position is next to the neural tube. That is, it is definitely coming from the paraxial mesoderm. Hang on, hang on, hang on. Okay, fine. Previously, there was a sclerotome. Okay. Now, from the sclerotome, what we are getting is two extra layers, namely one brown color myotome and the outermost cellular layer, the so-called dermatome. Okay. Initially, it's a dermomyotome together. And in your right hand side, you see the myotome is separated from dermatome. So basically, what we have done here is nothing but, okay, nothing but, fine. What did I say is the somite? Somite is derived from, it is nothing but a modification, condensation of paraxial mesoderm. Fantastic. What did I say about the somite? What is it going to give rise to? I said it is going to give rise to your musculoskeletal system. Fantastic. Now, what we are ending up doing is the somite itself, okay. These pictures I'll come back to again. No need to waste time here. The somite itself, what is it doing? What is the somite doing? Yes, please note in this picture. Everything is clear. Everything is clear in this picture. What is clear in this picture? The somite has three differentiations. The somite itself gets differentiated into three. What are the three components of a somite? This is important for you. The medialmost, innermost one is known as sclerotome. The middle layer is a myotome, and the outermost layer is dermatome. Quite simple. And it's so easy to understand that anything with the word sclerus will be hard. So bone is going to be developed from there, right? In this region around the neural tube, you can see that the vertebral bodies, the vertebra is going to get derived from the so-called sclerotome, right? And from the myotome, muscles are going to be derived. Dermatome, what is going to be derived? The dermis of the skin. So you can very well make out that our paraxial mesoderm, which is one of the subdivisions of intraembryonic mesoderm, it has simply gone on to form by its differentiation and condensation something known as a somite. And a somite is composed of three separate components called sclerotome, myotome, dermatome. And you saw a picture where there were somites arranged from cranial end to caudal end. You saw the table rather, where there were number of somites for each particular region. And there was one other picture saying that using the number of somites, I can calculate the age. So can you now make out that from the head end to the tail end, I'm getting a block, a column, a serial column of blocks called somites. And each of the somite has got three components. One component is going to form bone, which is the sclerotome component. Muscles take origin from the bones, are attached to the bones, myotome component. All are surrounded by connective tissue. Connective tissue keeps them in place, as well as connective tissue goes and gets attached to the outerlying skin, which is derived from ectoderm, that is epidermis. So dermis is also formed from mesoderm. So dermatome. So you can see the role of paraxial mesoderm. Maximum derivatives. It is going to form bone, it is going to form muscle, it is going to form all the coverings of the muscles with all the connective tissue, and it is also going to form dermis. So basically, you can see here the locomotory system, the musculoskeletal system, a protective system forming the dermis, investing layers, the fascias, They are all derived from the paraxial mesoderm. And in these pictures, you can also see that nicely from the neural tube, that is, which has developed from the ectoderm, and which will be the site for the nervous system. The nerves are also taking origin, and segmentally the nerves will innervate the muscles, the area of the skin, etc. So this one picture is a very nice summary, condensation of a lot of developmental process. Okay, so let's keep moving. Let's keep moving. So that was about the paraxial mesoderm. You see this picture now, you will understand why you need to know a few of the numbers. Plus, you know, this is how it looks when we are seeing through a ultrasonography from outside. You can see some blocks outside on the surface of the embryo. Okay, so we have seen a table that you can correlate the age with the number of these somites, and you can see starting from the head end towards the tail end. There are occipital area myotomes, there is a premuscle mass, cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral, coccygeal, all of these areas. Okay, so somites giving rise to bone, bones having attachment of muscles, and finally all the connective tissue outside it, including the dermis. So this is how it is. Okay, so I'll not be really going into the tables because the tables are there with you for your reference, so there won't be a problem. But what is to be understood, and it was very clear, we have seen the pictures, that paraxial mesoderm through the formation of somites with the three components of sclerotome, myotome, dermatome are responsible for formation of the musculoskeletal system of the body. Okay, this is the summary of it, right? So let's go quickly now to the intermediate mesoderm. Not much of a problem, not much of a problem, because this will be discussed when you come to those systems. What are those systems? What are those systems? Where am I? I think I went off too far. Right. So one of you can just tell me what we discussed so far in 3, 4 brief lines till the slides keep appearing. Yes, any one of you, because it's not possible to point out. Can somebody please, one of you, rise to the occasion? Anybody? Are we there? Yes, please. Are we all there, please? Hello? I can't hear you.
Okay, we'll ask the class rep only. Yes, anybody? Are we there? You can just give me a small summary so far. Just what happened to the mesoderm part so far. Just a small one. Okay. Basically the epiblast invaginating. Yes. So what is happening to the mesoderm? Yeah. So what are the so-called three subdivisions of the mesoderm? Paraxial. No, paraxial, intermediate, and lateral. Paraxial, intermediate, and lateral. Okay. So we are stuck with now at the intermediate mesoderm level. Okay. Okay. So let me keep talking. When the slides come, they will come. Okay. The intermediate mesoderm is responsible for the formation of the genitourinary system and as well as the primary germ cells, the primordial germ cells, which are derived from the pluripotent cells, which are again epiblastic in nature. So, intermediate mesoderm is simple. It is just for genitourinary system. So, when those systems are taught to you, you will be learning about the development of the urinary system, the kidneys, the bladder, etc. And when the reproductive system is taught to you, you will be learning about the development of the gonads and the internal genitalia, etc. So that is a derivative of the intermediate mesoderm. Let me this slide again. Yeah. We were at the 55th slide. It's a problem with the net. Anyway, not a problem. Not a problem. This is expected. So let's proceed. Yeah, actually, it's coming up. The net is so slow. So just hang on a bit. It will be a little bit of rest also. Things will come up more. Just hang on a bit. Because of too many pictures, anyway. Just a second. Okay. So let's keep talking, and when it comes back, it comes back, right? So the second division was the intermediate mesoderm, wherein I just just told you that the genitourinary system develops from the intermediate part of the mesoderm. Okay. The last part is the lateral plate mesoderm, and you could see that the lateral plate mesoderm was forming some cavities within it, and at the same time, the embryo started folding. And I'll be again reminding you that you must keep in mind the other simultaneous occurrences in the embryonic disc, wherein the folding of the embryo has to occur to accommodate the growing mass of these cells, the tissues that are produced by so much divisions. So in the lateral plate mesoderm, okay, what is going to happen is the lateral plate mesoderm is going to be responsible for the formation of the anterolateral body wall, plus it is going to be responsible for the formation of lining of the body cavities. The body cavities are peritoneal cavity, pleural cavity, pericardial cavity, for simplicity's sake, right? Now, this picture, if you look at, you can see here in the region above by the side of the notochord, by the side of the yolk sac, you can see something called as the mesonephros. So the word nephros itself is suggesting that we are talking about the urinary system. So this is one representation of the intermediate mesoderm starting to form the urinary system. And meanwhile, if you see, the foldings of the embryo have resulted in the formation of an intraembryonic cavity, and you can also see that the size of the yolk sac is progressively reducing, and finally it has gone back into the embryo itself. So what you are able to see from these two pictures are the other changes that are happening in the embryonic disc, which are responsible for the formation of a intraembryonic cavity. And you can see that the intraembryonic cavity is now being lined by a mesoderm, which is now divided into a visceral and a parietal layer of mesoderm. So this is derived from lateral plate. Actually, when you read the mesoderm, the three divisions, paraxial mesoderm getting derived is fine with its three components. But when you come to intermediate mesoderm and when you come to the lateral plate mesoderm, you must understand that both of them almost go hand in hand along with the other changes in the embryonic disc, which is called the folding of the embryonic disc. So that is why these pictures, okay, have to be studied in a continuum. There is nothing like segregation. Segregation has been done here just to show you, just to make it clearer for you. Okay, but when you read, you have to read it in one go. So this is what are the derivatives of the intermediate mesoderm. Okay, the genitourinary system and the germ cells. So going to the lateral plate mesoderm, just now I said please keep an eye on the folding of the embryo, and that will decide what is happening to the lateral plate mesoderm, right? So the lateral plate mesoderm is going to end up forming the body wall as well as the lining of the body cavities. So here, when you are getting a cavity within a cell mass, and when the cavity enlarges, so the cell mass gets divided into two layers. The layer which is inwards towards a viscera, that becomes known as a visceral layer, or in other words, it becomes known as a splanchnopluric layer. And the other layer, which is oriented towards the body wall, outer body wall,
that is known as the parietal layer, or it is now going to be simply known as a somatopleuric layer. Okay, so these are words which may appear confusing, but when you go through the pictures and read those small captions and explanations, you will find that yes, what is towards the viscera is splanchnopluric, that is visceral, and what is outside towards the somatic, that is towards the body wall, will be a somatopleuric layer. So the lateral plate mesoderm is the one which is actually going to be divided into these two. That is inner visceral, outer parietal. Visceral will be known as a splanchnopluric, and you could have seen in all those pictures that the brown is surrounding the yellow, which means the gut tube is starting to get surrounded by intraembryonic mesoderm, which will be the splanchnopluric part of the lateral plate mesoderm. So let's keep coming. Let's keep coming. The same pictures, all right? And the pictures are taking time. Anyway, it's okay, no problem. Okay. This one of the nice pictures. When you read it, you will find out. This will also be done to you when the heart tube, okay, when the pericardial cavity, when those things are being discussed, you will learn more about this. This is actually to show you how the pericardial cavity is forming, and later, when the head fold of the embryo happens, what will be the change in the position of the heart with respect to the pericardial cavity. Okay, this is not required right now, but this is just to emphasize that yes, lateral plate mesoderm is going to be responsible for lining of the body cavities. What are the body cavities? The pleural, I mean the peritoneal, the pleural, and the pericardial cavities, right? So let's proceed with one more important part of the lateral plate mesoderm. Please note the blood cells, the blood vessels, and the heart. These are also mesodermal derivatives, wherein, okay, the mesoderm, the splanchnopluric mesoderm on the related to the yolk sac, the dorsal wall of the yolk sac, are going to be responsible for vasculogenesis and angiogenesis. Vasculogenesis is formation of new blood vessels, angiogenesis is sprouting of those blood vessels. It's okay, don't have to go into that now because they will be discussed when we are going to talk about the cardiovascular system, and that time the embryology, the development of those things. For the time being, only the derivatives of the mesoderm, these are coming from lateral plate mesoderm. Right? So to summarize the lateral plate mesoderm, this is what is important. Here I will bring your attention to those 3 points, namely parietal layer plus overlying ectoderm is going to form the body walls. Visceral layer plus embryonic endoderm. Those pictures are very, very clear. Embryonic endoderm, yellow colored. Visceral layer of intraembryonic mesoderm in brown color surrounding it, the wall of the gut tube. Please note, all the gut tubes, okay, they have a mucosa that is derived from endoderm, whereas their outer stroma, their outer surroundings, that is derived from mesoderm. Which mesoderm? Lateral plate mesoderm in the case of a GIT, right? And last but not the least, parietal layer surrounding the intraembryonic coelom. Okay, this also is very important. What I was telling you, the so-called peritoneal, pleural, and pericardial cavities. They are lined by mesothelium, that is single-layered squamous epithelial cells. So that is again derived from the lateral plate mesoderm. And the last bullet here put is blood vessels and heart. So those, when you go to that, you'll be learning more about this. Okay. So now let's go down quickly to endoderm and we can start winding down the class, because this is very easy to understand. By now, all of you must be understanding that whatever I have been showing as that yellow colored, I mean, space lined by yellow colored cells, lined by that the yolk sac, okay, and the various changes of the yolk sac are lined by endoderm, and finally, I kept on repeating that you must keep in mind that there are some folds occurring. Okay. Now, in this picture, what you must understand is the head fold and the tail fold are responsible for pulling up the yolk sac into the embryo and formation of the future gut tube. The head fold is responsible for formation of the foregut. The tail fold is responsible for the formation of the hindgut, and the resorption of the yolk sac due to these two folds will be responsible for the formation of midgut. Please note, head fold and tail fold are occurring in an anteroposterior axis in the median plane, and they are responsible for incorporation of the yolk sac into the embryo to form the future gut tubes, foregut, midgut, hindgut, from which the gastrointestinal tract and its derivatives, the respiratory tract and derivatives will be, will be the adult counterparts, right? Whereas when you saw the lateral plate mesoderm in the previous slides, the formation of body cavities, they were more to do with the lateral foldings of the embryo. Again, I will be repeating this fact that we are talking about changes in the embryonic disc due to lot of cellular division, formation of germ layers, and their derivatives. And at the same time, the embryo is undergoing changes called foldings. There is a head fold, there is a tail fold, and there are two lateral foldings. The head fold and tail fold are responsible for incorporation of yolk sac to form gut tube, whereas the lateral foldings are primarily responsible for the formation of the body cavities. So, what will be the derivative of the endoderm? It is very easy from this pictures to understand that yes, the endoderm is going to be responsible for the formation of, okay, these pictures again explain to you about the various folds. So I'll be just running through them because you can look them up. It's very easy to understand once you have the sequence, right? So let's keep going. Let's keep going because the pictures take a lot of, they slow down the presentation in these modalities with a very unstable net, right? So each of this picture will help you understand what I was telling you about the resorption of the yolk sac and the formation of the gut tubes, right? Simultaneously about the allantois and the urinary bladder, a part of it, etc. So these are just, but this is for your interest. If you are interested, you can go through these tables later. Okay, what is basically in what in these tables are that what was there before the fold and what is the position after the fold. This is more easy to understand the orientation when you go to those respective chapters later. Okay, right now not required. Right now what you must know, what were the derivatives, how, what is happening to them. You can do it when you go to those subsequent chapters, those subsequent areas, those subsequent organs, right? So I'll be skipping through all these slides. These were put up just to give you some material for future reference when you go to those chapters, right? So let's see. Yeah, only one point I will, for the reason this slide is here is just to emphasize upon you that please note, even the respiratory system, you can see in the picture on the left side, there's a lung bud, okay? even the respiratory system takes origin from the gut tube only. Okay. And again, I'm repeating to you, you are seeing all this in yellow color, and yellow color represents the epithelial lining, that is endoderm derived mucosal lining of these tubes. The surrounding outside is brownish, that is from mesoderm. So please remember all the tubes in the body, namely the important tubes, the gastrointestinal tube and the respiratory tube, they are derived from two sources, both endoderm and mesoderm. That is the take home message from these slides, right? I'll skip this. Okay, so this is the summary of those layers, namely endoderm derivatives. What are the endoderm derivatives? Gastrointestinal tract with and the derivatives, meaning I'm again emphasizing within the bracket the lining epithelium. Okay, respiratory tract, urinary bladder, right? Plus, you can see the last word, parenchyma of those glands in these tracts. Okay, parenchyma refers to the secretory portion of a gland, whereas stroma refers to the connective tissue which is holding the glandular elements. Stroma is always derived from mesoderm. Okay, so with this, what I will do is, okay, summary of events. These tables are there with you for you to go through. Okay, uh, they are not going to be asked as such, but you can correlate these things when you read the future organ developments. It becomes easy. Okay, the summary of all what was discussed is, please note again, I'm repeating, third to eighth week, most crucial period, embryonic period, tissue genesis, organogenesis, almost everything is formed in the body, right? And if there is going to be any insult during this period, there is going to be a disturbance in the sequence, and what is going to result is the causation of birth defects, that is congenital malformations. Okay, so that was the part of this presentation. Okay, now quickly what I'll do is, okay, just bear with me. Just bear with me. Right? Okay. I am putting up these slides. There are only three of them which are important. Okay. I'll be transmitting this also to you. Okay. I just want you to go through this, right? And this was of the ectoderm. This is a complete summary of the ectodermal derivatives. And you can very well see the skin and the sensory system basically and the nervous system. They are from ectoderm. And today's what we discussed, okay, the mesodermal derivatives. Yeah, we are back. Just there. Yeah. Yes. Fine. So derivatives of mesoderm. Okay. I'll be sending these slides across to you also. Fine. So you can just have a look. Fine. This will be a complete summary of what we have been discussing. Right. So take home message. Take home message. Take home messages. Ectoderm, skin, sensory system, brain. And I mean that is the it is by. Yes, fine. So paraxial mesoderm, musculoskeletal system, intermediate mesoderm, genitourinary system, lateral plate mesoderm, the body wall cavities, and finally the endoderm. What is it about? It is about the gut tube, the respiratory tube. So with this, okay, with this, I'll stop the presentation. I will be transferring this one also to you, okay, in a short while. And now, if you are still oriented enough to ask me any questions, I'll be very happy to answer them. And if you feel that you want to go through the material, read up, and then interact later, I'm fine with it because I know this is a lengthy class, but because you all have your own fixed schedule with the normal block teaching, it is very difficult to find time separately. That is why we managed to, fix up these 4 hours. It is not going to be there tomorrow. Madam is going to take only on Monday, the remaining little bit of it. So that can be done in one portion. Why we decided to do it this way was making too many gaps in this mesodermal and endodermal derivative. You seem to lose the flow. That's why we have done it in a continuity. So how many of you are still oriented here? And there's nothing to be ashamed of. You can tell me you are totally disoriented, which is fine. I know it takes a lot of energy and concentration to go through this presentation, which are slow in nature because of the problems with the net. So are you with me? Can I have a net from each one of you individually, if you don't mind?